Hi guys, how you doing? My name's Brian Bruce. The next movie I will review is called The Road to Prediction, which is right here. It stars Tom Hanks, Jude Law, and Paul Newman. Now the film is about a hitman who works for the mob, and his son gets curious one night and decides what he wants to know what his father does for a living, and he ends up hiding in his car. And I don't want to tell you what happens because then I'll spoil it for you. But the film came out in 2002. Yeah, 2002. And what's interesting is this film was directed by Sam Mendes, which would direct, I think, two of the James Bond's films, featuring Daniel Craig, and maybe one day I do a film about that. But anyway, yeah. So the film starts Tom Hanks. He plays the main actor, and first of all, rating for the film, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. And the reason I give it a 8 out of 10 is, first of all, what I enjoyed about the film was that the film was it was a gangster film, but it was very different. I felt the story was not it was not really centered on who on gangsters or who these gangsters were. The film is actually more about the character of Tom Hanks, and his life his life, working for the mob and trying to be a father at the same time. I remember I actually remember seeing this movie in the theaters back in 2002 with my dad, and it was one movie I felt like I had to get on Blu-ray because I just remember that film, and I really did like that film when I first saw it, and I was just a kid. But the film takes place. The film is very interesting. I could say, even though the background is kind of about gangsters, I could say it's not really a gangster film. It's more of a drama, and the film was directed by Sam Mendes. Now, the first thing I like is that the film's very different. Second thing I like about the film was the cinematography here is beautiful. There's many. I was watching the behind the features, and it's interesting. The principal photography of the film passed away in 2002. He's actually I forgot his name, but he's won a couple of Oscars for other films. And 2002 he passed away, unfortunately, and this was his last film he did. Um, and also, seriously, there are a lot of shots in the film I think that are very, beautiful. For one example, I think one of my favorites, scenes in the film, not just because it's kind of has a emotional payoff to it, but I think it's just the way it looks on film is so beautiful. And I think it's funny because when I look back, I think when this film came out 2002, we didn't get we weren't at the high definition standard yet, and so to me, it was just, you know I I was just, I guess, like, you couldn't really appreciate the cinematography of this film until you see it in high definition. For example, there's one scene where Tom Hanks is finally coming after the one guy, who he finally comes after Paul Newman, and it's this beautiful shot where it's set in the rain. It's a night shot, and it's this beautiful shot. Like, it's so beautiful. Like, it's kind of like looking at a painting. And he kills his guys, and then he finally kills Paul Newman. In the end, he just looks around, and he's just surrounded by people in windows who witnessed this murder or witnessed this hit, and he walks off in the rain. And it's such a great shot because there's so many, I felt, themes in that shot. The director is saying so much just with one picture. There's just, it's just so beautiful. There's a lot of shots too where you see Tom Hanks and his son just driving in the country, and it's just beautiful. Like, the film kind of reminded me of Public Enemies. I don't know if I did a review on that. I'll finally find out. But it reminds me of Public Enemies. But the difference between Public Enemies and this film is I felt, the way the people dress, the way the backgrounds are is very similar. But the difference is Public Enemies is more towards the gangster film. This is more towards the drama. And I think me, I love gangster movies. Doesn't matter what time or what, I don't care if it's like Al Capone, or I don't care if it's John Gotti. I don't care if it's 80s, 90s, 2000s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 20s, whatever. I just love gangster films, period. And Tom Hanks' character, you kind of, even though in your head you kind of supposedly self-consciously politically correct, you're supposed to think like, wait a second, this is a hitman, why should I have sympathy for him? But then I think the film kind of looks at as, Tom Hanks is just a guy supporting his family, and they don't really give you a background about how he started. I mean, all he says in the film is he says, Paul Newman's character is called Rooney. He says, "Oh, Rooney, I love Rooney, and Rooney did a lot for us." And that's all he tells you about his past and the connection they have together. But I think, I mean, the film is, I mean, it's just the film is very like centered on the relationship about, because in the film it's more, the story is more about his son, kind of telling us, who who how he visioned his father in his own eyes. And you know it's not really about, and I think that's why in this film we don't see Tom Hanks kind of act as a gangster. I think that's why we see him more as a family man, because it's from the son's point of view. And I imagine the son probably saw the father as someone who, was not a bad person. It just, he got into a life of crime. Obviously, one hit became a second hit, and then it became a third hit. And, he's just good at what he does, and that's being a hitman. And, you know, and it's the film is very deep if you think about it, but the film is great. I think anybody who loves film should watch this film. I think you don't even have to love gangster films. I think if you just like good dramas, you're gonna like this film too as well. So that's the good thing about this film. Um, I give the film, like I said, an 8 out of 10. Um, Definitely worth buying on Blu-ray. Trust me, the high definition quality of the picture and the scenes is so worth it. And definitely check it out on the road to perdition. 8 out of 10. And I'll see y'all at the next movie. Bye.